everybody, I'm Conor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, and can you believe it? This is the first show of our fourth season. Are we the longest running education podcast in the country?
I'm not going to fact check it because I believe it's true.
And that's all I need. So
believe.
We're putting it on the website.
Like Ted Lasso here. Believe.
All you can do is believe. We are coming back for season 4. We're starting with a fantastic show. Tell us a little bit about it, Doug.
Absolutely we do. Assistant Principal Zach Womack has 2 paraeducators that he actually coached when they went to Cedar Crest Middle School, where they all 3 now work. Really, really cool story, and we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But Conor, you promised our listeners something at the end of last season. Tell us all about it.
I did indeed, Doug, and I'm a man of my word. At the end of last season, we ended with a brand new segment we called Useless Trivia of the Week. We promised we'd bring it back, so here we are. I'm going to kick us off, and as I'm sure you all remember, because I ended last year with a useless piece of presidential trivia, I figured I'd start out this year strong in the same way. So here goes, Doug.
I love it.
Did you know that President Andrew Jackson owned a parrot named Pole, lovingly referred to as Polly, who was such a potty-mouth that it actually had to be escorted out of Jackson's own funeral because it wouldn't stop swearing during the service.
Oh, that is some foul language.
I see what you did there. I don't know that they're actually foul, but I'll let it slide.
Well, I don't know. This is actually a useless piece of factual trivia. I want to hear your source, even though it's a heck of a story.
Well, so I will put a little caveat on this, that this isn't nailed down 100%. It hasn't passed the Snopes test per se, but there was one eyewitness to the incident. We know that Pole existed. It's written about extensively. We even know that Pole had a potty mouth. What the part that is a little sketchy is whether he got kicked out of the funeral. There was an eyewitness who wrote about it. That eyewitness happened to have been 15 at the time of the funeral, didn't write about it or mention it to anyone until he was 91.
Oh, my gosh.
So maybe not the most trustworthy, but I love it, so I'm going to go with it.
I love it. Andrew Jackson, our 7th U.S. president. And that's a very good piece of useless trivia.
And we will get to your piece a bit later, but first, let's get into this really exciting interview.
For sure. Conor, you and I both sat down with Cedar Crest Middle School Assistant Principal Zach Womack and 2 Cedar Crest paraeducators, Charles McQueen and Trey Ferguson. What makes these 2 gentlemen so special is that less than a decade ago, both of them were actually students and stellar athletes at Cedar Crest. After graduating high school and going on to play collegiate sports, both have returned to Cedar Crest to help mentor the next generation of student athletes.
Yes, indeed. And we started the interview by asking Assistant Principal Womack what it's like to have 2 of his former students and mentees now on his staff.
My first year coaching, I was able to coach both these young men. And I'm telling you what, like, leadership is what they exemplify. They're not just good young men. They're great students. They're great student athletes here. The students are loving these guys, you know. You go in the hallways, they're dapping them up, giving them high fives. They're really an instrumental part of our growth and what we need from our students. And for our students to see these young men coming back and, you know, giving to the community, it's been an awesome thing. And to be a paraeducator, it just reminds me of my, growth. I started off as a paraeducator in Bethel. I worked at Bethel Middle School. I ended up becoming a teacher. Now I'm an assistant principal, and I really see the same thing going on with these young men. I see the growth, whether they stay into education, whether they become teachers. We're getting away from that stigma of paraeducators as teacher assistants. We want to make sure that they're empowered with the students, not just working in small groups. We want to make sure that they're getting trained up on social emotional, they're getting trained up on working in small groups, but also meeting the needs of the IEP also. And you got, guys like Trey and Charles that are helping out with that. It's been really instrumental to us. It's not about X's and O's. It's not just about tests. It's about how many smiles you can get with each kid, how many laughs you can get out of kids in the hallways. And we're getting that more and more by getting, pairs with the quality of these guys. These guys are 21 years old. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't have that mindset at 21, where I already have a vision of what I wanted to do, right? And these young men are doing that, and I need my students to see that, And, I know the viewers don't see this, but these are 2 African-American men that are making a difference in our school, and not just our school, our community. Yeah, they come from great families, and they know that, but they know that a lot of our kids don't. and they see that and they recognize that, and they're implementing what it takes to be a paraeducator here in an awesome way.
So Charles and Trey both played football and basketball at Cedar Crest. Both went on to Spanaway Lake High School. Charles had an absolutely stellar career on the football field, was recruited by a number of Division I schools before finally agreeing to take his talents to the University of Nevada. Trey had an amazing basketball career for the Sentinels and went on to play collegiate hoops himself. Both of them realized at a certain point that they were missing something in their lives and they wanted to come back and give back to their community.
I had to do like a lot of self-reflection and tell myself, okay, like, Trey, do you really want to do this for a long time? Is this like really your passion? And one of my coaches told me about giving back to basketball, and that really stuck to me. So I decided to become a coach. I didn't really have a plan of like being a paraeducator at that time. I was working for the Boys and Girls Club, and one of my other best friends passed away, Eli, and that really changed my mindset on everything, especially like just getting more attached to the community, because he was so attached to the community. Him passing away really like influenced me to like start being a paraeducator, getting into the schools. So I'm just super grateful for like being in a position where I can change these kids' lives. I'm always motivated to be here. Like, I'm always smiling, especially having like, I would never thought I'd be working with my best friend. That was insane to me. So things like that just like motivate me so much to do better for myself and also for my community too.
I've been there, and I've been to the places that a lot of these young athletes and young students are trying to go to, and I realized like how a lot of them respond to like a younger mindset. I started to kind of realize that I'm an inspiration to the youth, and especially in my community, and I was realizing that I was in Nevada, which is where I would have to restart a growth and kind of get people to know me more. When I realized that, I said, I can come back home to where a lot of the seeds that I've watered before can continue to grow. And so I had like a pause in my life and talked to my family and talked to my support group and realized that I can come home and follow in the footsteps behind my parents and behind all my coaches and mentors and kind of make a bigger impact in this community rather than being at a new place where you got to kind of restart everything. And coming back home would be a great place to build the legacy that I would like to build.
You know, one thing I love about this story, Conor, is that these guys, these are young guys. They were at Cedar Crest not that long ago. So their teachers are still teaching there. You know, Assistant Principal Womack is there, and he was their coach. Like, this is a really cool dynamic.
It absolutely is. And you'll see right here, Trey is paying for a little bit of his class clowning when he was in middle school, now that he's coworkers with these people.
I'll admit it, I was a little class clown in middle school. And like just seeing some of the teachers I used to give a hard time to, working with them now is just like, man, like I finally get it now. Like I get all the times they were on me about doing certain things and what I was doing that was bad, and like they were on me. I totally 100% get it now, and it all makes sense. It's like a full circle moment. The universe works in mysterious ways. Let's just say that for sure.
This is such a cool opportunity for both these young men. I love what they're doing right now at Cedar Crest, and their future is pretty bright too.
Now that I see my impact, I love being here, and I don't necessarily see myself going to coach or teach anywhere else. I've had offers for like from the high school to go and coach, and I like being present in the moment here and being able to put all of my energy into here and then keep growing from where I'm at right now, because this is home for me. And I see myself probably maybe in the future. I also do like mentorship on the side outside of school and coaching outside of school with the youth organization Spanaway Sentinels that my parents own. And I just love being able to see that I've planted certain seeds inside the minds of our youth, and they take those seeds and water them and they grow into trees up until high school. And I've watched my dad, I've watched Womack, I've watched coaches and mentors around me give me their type of ways that they've been successful, and I've used them, and I've become successful with those philosophies or teachings that they give to me. And so I've kind of piggybacked off of them.
I have no doubt that these two guys are going to have very bright futures, and the students at Cedar Crest are lucky to have them while they do. We finished out the interview by asking Trey, Zach, and Assistant Principal Womack what they've seen recently at school that's really motivated them to keep going.
One thing, and I'm not just saying this because we're talking here, is the amount of staff that are being so appreciative of Charles and Trey. They really are making a huge impact in our community. You know, Trey's working one-on-one with one of our students that really has a high need students to health issues and so forth. And Trey's always making sure she gets to her class, she getting her medical treatment, and we're trusting a 21-year-old to do that. That just says a lot about Trey. Charles, again, working with our teachers and a lot of our classrooms that have a lot of students that are on IEPs and 504 plans. And Charles is doing a great job of making sure their kids are meeting those needs, where it's extra time in the classroom or one-on-one help, small group. We're instilling, I am as an administrator, putting a lot on these kids' plate, young men's plate, excuse me. I coached them, so I want to refer them as kids, but we're putting a lot on their plates, and I'm telling you what, that plate's staying organized. It's not overflowing because these young men are really taking initiative, and to have my staff see it has been really, really a blessing.
Yeah, what about you, Charles? Any moments stick out as kind of things that fueled that fire for you to keep doing what you're doing?
Being in the classroom and both from a coaching standpoint, I started to see a lot of the give back of a lot of students coming to me and telling me the impacts that I've made on them. And I've seen the ways that they switch and how they've kind of used what I've given to them, what us as a collective has given to them. And I see that as like the greatest gift that I can ever receive is me seeing that I'm actually, I'm making an impact on their lives. And it just reminds me of the biggest mentors of when I was growing up, like my coaches, Coach Womack, even some of my friends and family were like mentors in a way of Trey. He tells me a lot about myself and things that he has that I can improve on, and the ways that he lives his life, certain traits and certain characteristics that I can kind of learn and improve on as well, that I see in him in the same way that I'm sure he sees in me. And so it's a blessing, like Coach said. I'm grateful to be here, man. Seeing that what I'm doing is actually making a change and making a difference.
What about you, Trey? Anything stick out for this first year that's really kind of got you going?
Just the kids taking advantage of their opportunity. I always tell my players and students, it's okay to use me, as far as using me as a resource to better yourself. If I had a Mr. Trey or a Mr. Charles when I was in middle school, man, it would have been crazy. It would have been so much better. It would have been because I would have used them so much, and I would have asked them for so much advice. But I'm just grateful to be in a position where I can impact these kids' lives.
Man, Conor, what a great story, a great start to Season 4. Thank you again to Assistant Principals Zach Womack, Charles McQueen, and Trey Ferguson. We loved having them on the show and love kicking off this season with them.
Absolutely. And we are going to be back next week with another fantastic show. But before we leave, Doug does owe us his weekly useless trivia. So, Doug, hit us.
Here we go. And I'm bringing science and fact-checking to mind. This is from Travel and Leisure magazine. You know how on plane windows there's a tiny little hole at the bottom? Have you ever noticed this?
I have, and I've always wondered what those are for.
It's a little disconcerting, I've got to say. And when you get up real high, you're miles up in the air, and you see it kind of frost over a little bit, and you're just like, is this right? Do all the windows have these? So they do. They're actually called breather holes. Now, a window on a plane is not just one pane of glass. In fact, it is 3 to 4 pieces of plexiglass. And we all know plexiglass isn't glass either. It's either acrylic or plastic. So there's 3 or 4 layers of these, and the inner layer or layers has these breather holes in it. And what that does is it helps with the pressurization as the plane's going up and down. It gives the window room to expand and contract a little bit. So it's a weird thing, and I enjoyed learning about that and thought I'd share it with you.
It's frightening. I will be honest. I don't like flying anyway. Now knowing that these things exist and they're breathing and expanding and contracting, I don't think I'll ever fly again. Thanks, Doug.
Well, that'll wrap up the first episode of Season 4. Conor, I was going to kick things off with a new slogan for the show. Tell me what you think. You see my jazz hands moving here. I'm pretty excited about it. The idea is we say the show is 15 minutes or your money back.
I love it.
Was the show 15 minutes this week?
We'll find out.
We'll see you next week, everybody.